25, 26 years. I met this man in 1992 at Muhammad Mosque number 45, back when it was on Cullen. For the 20-something years I've been knowing him, he's been a friend, a brother, a counselor, a teacher, a guide, all these different titles that he has carried just in my life personally, and I know in the lives of many of them, that the best title that I could give him that he would probably appreciate the most would be the title of being a servant of the people. So when a lot of people, when you hear that word servant, you think about it in a negative light, but I can say for a fact that for an individual who has dedicated the vast majority of his life, over half of his life, to the service of people, then it's no better title than you can have than that. He's a doctor. He has a degree in urban planning. He's not the type of doctor that you can tell him, that you got a sore throat, but the fact that he understands how to eat to live, you probably can tell him he got a sore throat, and he'll have some game for you on that, on how to naturally cure that. He has appeared on the national platforms as well as the local platforms. He's been on the O'Reilly Factor with Bill O'Reilly, and he's one of the few people that I ever saw on the O'Reilly Factor that Bill O'Reilly didn't try that nonsense with. And he's been on TV One with Roland Martin, but more importantly, he's been right here in the trenches and in the cracks and the corners with us. And he is the Southwest Regional Student Minister in the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I'm honored to give this long introduction because I'm glad to have my big brother in the building tonight, Dr. Brother Abdul Haleem Muhammad. What's good, family?
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam, big brother. How you
good,
feeling?
Man? I'm here on K-Rino Radio.
Man, look, it's an honor and a privilege. I was talking to you about a week or so before Savior's Day, and I was like, man, I want to get you to come on, and I'm glad that you're coming on now after leaving Savior's Day, because I know you loaded up with a lot of valuable information that we're going to need, but and we're going to get into all of that. But what I want to do for the people who may not be familiar with you, I want to, first of all, you may be familiar with him as Brother Robert Muhammad, and you've seen him on TV, you heard him on the radio. He's been fighting injustice against crooked law enforcement, crooked court system, educational system, and fighting among ourselves to try to get us right. So he's been fighting on all these fronts all these years, but we want to just start off to kind of give people the idea of who you are, and then lead up into how you reached to the point where you are right now. So just let the people know who you are and how'd you get on this journey of doing what you do right now.
Wow. Well, first and foremost, let me thank you for the invitation coming on your show, brother. I don't take this lightly because these are the people's sacred airwaves. And when you have an opportunity to be on the people's sacred airwaves, and then you would invite me to share your time with you, I am honored and humbled that you would do so. But again, I'm Brother Abdul Haleem Muhammad. I was given that name by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in July of last year. Of course, I'm formerly known as Brother Robert Muhammad. And I came to Houston, Texas in 1980. I was born and raised in New York, finished high school in southern Jersey, went to college in Virginia at Hampton Institute, now Hampton University. Came again in 1980 to Houston, pursuing a career in banking and finance. I'm married. I'm the father of 4 sons. Just as you said, brother, I hold a PhD in urban planning and environmental policy. But the greatest title that I could have would be just brother. Wow. Brother, because I wasn't born a minister. That is a title bestowed upon me by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But I'm still a student minister. That means that I have to keep humble and keep always trying to learn. And minister does mean servant. So I'm a student who serves, and then my doctorate is to serve the people, So that's who I am. I've served as the minister of Muhammad Mosque number 45, we started actually, I started actually on Brandon Street off of Belford in Scott. It's a street called Brandon Street, which is the next street over.
Right.
And that's where we started. We used to call it Islam in a Box. It was a small one. Then we moved to Cullen, 6734 Cullen, and now at Old Spanish Trail, 4443 Old Spanish Trail. That started in 1987, so it's been it'll be 31 years this July.
Wow.
And I've been the Southwest Regional Student Minister since April 1st, 1994, the year before the Million Man March.
Right.
And so that is what I've done. I've been blessed to travel to Africa on 2 occasions with and on behalf of the Nation of Islam. I've traveled to China, Turkey, been to the Caribbean, Mexico, and other places. I've been across this country, probably seen all corners of this country as a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, following him around, securing him, doing the things we have to do. And as you said, I've been on these programs, and I've written several articles that have appeared in the Houston Chronicle, op-ed pages, black newspapers, you kind of name it. And then I've even had the honor and privilege of appearing on your records, on your records,
sir,
brother.
absolutely.
And you know, and have the pleasure of knowing you and many in the South Park Coalition and many of the hip hop artists in this city. And I feel honored, brother, that you would consider me a mentor and a friend and a brother. And so that's really what I'm here. But yes, I am fired up after coming back from Savior's Day and being in the presence of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who for the last 40 years has rebuilt the Nation of Islam in the absence of his teacher, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who departed us in 1975. The Nation of Islam, by the time of 1973, 74, 75, was at its zenith. You're looking at that time, which would have been an $80 million empire, they called it. If you put it in today's terms, that's billions of dollars.
Right,
we had over 40,000 acres of farmland throughout the United States, and farmland in Belize and South America. We were the largest importers of frozen fish in the country. We had over 100, we had presence in over 100 cities, with over 40 Muhammad University of Islam's. We had our own slaughterhouses, farmland, chicken, lambs, beef, eggs. We did all of that. We were actually a nation within a nation.
Right.
And, you know, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed, it didn't take really, it wasn't three months or even 3 years before everything we had was gone.
Wow.
And so Minister Farrakhan began rebuilding the Nation of Islam out of his love for his teacher. If you notice that during Black History Month, they hardly ever mention the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In fact, they don't at all.
You all in my mind, brother. You all in my head. You all in my question sheet. Go ahead.
So they'll talk about Malcolm. They'll talk about Muhammad Ali. But they won't talk about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is indeed the father of Black Power.
Why is that, though, big brother? Why do you think that they try to delete the Honorable Elijah Muhammad out of that, not just Black History Month, but out of Black History period? Why do they block him from the minds of black people like that?
Well, because he is Black history.
Right.
See, everything else is really Negro history. You know, how we overcame slavery.
Right.
You know, how we integrated the toilets, how we integrated restaurants, how we were the first principal of this school, the first postmaster, the first senator, the first congressman. You know, that's what it was. The first one to sleep in the Hyatt.
On the surface.
On the surface.
Stuff, yeah.
But here, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad actually represents the end of their world.
Right.
So when you have someone that represents the end of their world, you try to eliminate him because he's at the root. See, when you deal with Malcolm, as profound as Malcolm was, you're really dealing with a branch. He was a student. Muhammad Ali, as great as he is, the greatest of all time, he's still a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Even his son, Imam Warithuddin Muhammad, he's still a branch. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the root. So when I say he's the father of Black Power, he is indeed the father of Black Power. He's the father of Black theology.
And it's crazy because that you mention that, because you have so many people that will gravitate towards those branches, but they seem to have an animosity towards the root, which is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I never understood that, because they don't seem to take on the logic that had it not been for this man, you wouldn't have these other men who you hold in such a high regard. I don't understand that at all.
Well, it would be easier to understand if you recognize the fact that this man represents the end of their world.
Right.
You see, when a man teaches you that you're the original man, you're the first, and that everyone else came after you,
right,
and that they have a beginning and they have an end, and that this world has a beginning and this world has an end. But what he's coming to tell you is that the presence of God, that you and I are the chosen people of God, not because of the color of our skin, but because of the content of our character,
right,
and the fact that we are the fulfillment of prophecy.
right.
And when we are the fulfillment of prophecy, and you begin to understand the fact that God chose you, and he's going to take a people who are no people at all, a people who are foolish people who vex the wise, and then he's going to take you, the bottom rung, he's going to raise you to the top. He's going to take the last, he's going to make you the first. And then what happens with that is that puts you and I in a situation now we're in the valley of decision, and they're in the valley of decision. Right, right. Here the people that they've taught the world, they've actually paraded us before the world. You think about what Satan would do. He said, oh, these are your chosen people? Look at them. I got them pimping.
Right.
I got them whoring.
Right.
I got them drunk.
Right.
I got them smoking dope. I got them on the corner. I got their pants sagging. I got them, and I'm going to put them before the world. Look at these buffoons, right? God, this is your chosen people? Right. You chose them?
Right.
Look at them.
Come on.
And you know, so here's a people that they had to create a whole system, educational system, religious system, judicial system, economic system, rooted in the fact that they're on top and we're on the bottom. So worldwide white supremacy is threatened by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because he taught the root of it.
Come on.
In the teachings about Mr. Yaqub, which many would think is mythology, but if you really think about it, Yaqub teaching was he took from the black man, the original man, a brown germ.
Right.
And he grafted that germ out to make these people.
Right.
So what happens is that this was a process of murder.
Right.
He had to kill the darker and spare the lighter in order for them to be on top. So they know that in the end that they are facing genetic annihilation, first of all, because if the black man ever gets with the white woman, or the black man ever, even the black woman getting with the white man, it's going to color his seed and he's going to disappear from the planet.
Yes, sir.
So we have to recognize the fact that what Elijah Muhammad taught, what he taught was their end,
right,
their doom,
right,
unless, like in Godfather, Michael Corleone, do you renounce Satan and all his works?
Right, right,
if you really would renounce Satan, their father, and all their works, then they have a chance to make it into the hereafter. But if they don't, they're going out, as the scriptures say, with wailing and gnashing of teeth, and they're going out with a great noise.
Right.
Now, they're not going to go out without a fight,
right,
because they've been on top so long, and they've been taught not to submit to us. And so what we got to do as we awaken, as this Black Panther movie has actually triggered something in our DNA. Yes, it doesn't matter that white or Jewish people made the movie. It doesn't matter that it made $700 million worldwide and it went into their coffers. It matters not. The imagery that went into our children's head. Just like President Barack Obama, for 8 years, he may not have done anything that we wanted him to do. But imagine you've got a 7-year-old who has never seen anybody but this black president. That when he walks in the room, the media stands up. Right. When he walks on the parade ground, there's a 21-gun salute. When he walks in the room, they play Hail to the Chief. He and his beautiful wife and his daughters are the only image that's burned in their head. And he, in this world order, is the most powerful man on earth, or runs the most powerful government on earth. Our children now have in their mind, no matter who occupies the White House, that they too can rule the world. Then you put on that Black Panther. Now our children aren't running around jumping off the bed or the toilet with a towel around their neck, thinking they're Jor-El from the planet Krypton, absolutely. Superman. Now they thinking they're T'Challa. You understand? Right. And they think Wakanda. They think of possibilities. Right. Now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad doesn't look so silly talking about the mother plane, because how did they get around?
Come on now.
He didn't look so silly talking about we had civilizations that are buried under the sands of the desert, under the ocean, under the jungles, that we had put ourselves to sleep, that even when we built the pyramids, we were half asleep. We had fell 50,000 years ago.
When the pyramids.
Yeah, the pyramids, when you see the hieroglyphics or the Medunetta, as they call it, man, that's just Egyptian graffiti.
Right.
We were telling you what we were, who we were, and all of those things. We left signs of our greatness. And everywhere he went, one of the 7 wonders of the world is, of course, is the Great Pyramid in Giza. But it's the only of the 7 wonders that are still standing, and he's still wondering how we built it.
Had no clue of how they were constructed. Man, y'all, see, we getting fed already, man. We 5 or 10 minutes in. We have Dr. Abdul Haleem Muhammad live. Y'all can call in too, man, if y'all want to participate, man. 713-526-8737. He been all up in my mind. He done intercepted about 2 of my questions already, man. What do you say to that mind frame? You know, it's been all on Facebook just about how a lot of our own people, a lot of black people are kind of receiving the Black Panther movie in a negative light. I guess you kind of already covered it, but it just shows the fact that we still kind of blind in that regard, because if we would criticize a movie just because, like you said, it was produced with Jewish money and Hollywood money, then we don't need to wear any clothes anymore. We need to get off of Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook that we're making a complaint on in the first place. We have to get past that, looking at anything that's black as being negative, and just rally behind the principles that you just stated.
Well, you know, the scripture said, "Blessed is the pure of heart, for they shall see God." And when I was having dinner with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan 2 Saviors Days ago in Detroit, he said, yes, blessed is the pure of heart, for they shall see God. And he says, and I add, brother, in everything.
Wow.
See, so we have to look for God in everything, even in the bad things that happen. Where's the hand of God in this? There are 2 wills God has. He has his active will and his permissive will.
Yes, sir.
And there are things he allows to happen, and there are things he causes to happen. So even in so much as we have to look for the hand of God and all of that. Look at black people, all of a sudden now, they are now dressing up in African garb, embracing Africa, when they were taught that when they found us, we're lucky to be here in America, and it's good that they enslaved us, because we had bones on our noses, swinging from trees, eating each other raw and whatnot. You know, when that's how we found them in Europe.
Right. Yes,
see,
sir.
and so when you're taught to hate self, not to love yourself, then it's easy for you to kill one another. It's easy for you and I to be angry with one another. We fall out over some of the most silly things, but every day we'll go back to work on Monday and get disrespected through Friday, get drunk on the weekend cussing out the boss, but go right back to work on Monday. The things that they have done to us, the crimes that they've committed against our people, that they have never repented for nor paid reparations for, yet we still continue to go get in their military, to salute their flag, to put our hand over their heart and pledge allegiance to the flag, to do all the things that they asked us to do, to practice religion as they taught us, to accept their educational system as they taught us, not to question them, nothing. Yeah. And then yet a brother can bring you a concept that I ain't never heard of that. Right. You know, in other words, Negro, where'd you get that from? Right. Which translates to, where can I go read it where white folks wrote it?
Right, it got to be validated through white people, through white text. I'm gonna shift gears for a minute, because I know that you've been on the front lines of many fights, but just a recent fight that I've been noticing is the Michael McSpadden thing that's going on.
Sure.
For those who don't know, Michael McSpadden is a racist judge, and he's been that way forever. I just kind of got wind of the comments that he made, some of the recent comments that he made actually today, but kind of go into that, what's going on with that, and our place in it, and what we need to be woke up to and aware of.
Well, we need to be aware, brother, that the criminal justice system was set up, really. The first police were slave catchers, okay? And then when we were so-called emancipated, what they would do is they passed the 13th Amendment, which says that slavery and involuntary servitude shall no longer exist in the United States except you're duly convicted of a crime. So what happened after that was we would be arrested for vagrancy, for reckless eyeballing, for spitting on the sidewalk, and then we would be convict convict leasing would take place.
Right.
Where they would lease us back out to the plantations that we had just came from. And then once Reconstruction was over and Jim Crow was put in effect, or Jim Crow came into effect, then what they did was the police enforced Jim Crow in the South and in the North, okay? And then after Dr. King and all marched against that, or I should say our people fled often the South, they went west, they went north, they went to Detroit, they went to St. Louis, they went to all these other cities. The police in the North would enforce de facto in San Francisco and other places that we fled. Because you find that there's so many people from Louisiana, Texas, then in California, they're there, their roots are here.
Right.
Okay. Civil rights movement, we got desegregation. I'm not with that integration thing, but desegregation.
Right.
So what did they do? They went into, now the police were involved in counterintelligence, spying on our organization, destroying and assassinating our leaders. And once that was found out and exposed, then now it's a war on drugs, launched by Richard Nixon and then Ronald Reagan and then and George H.W. Bush, and it goes on, and Clinton with his program. And then we had 9/11. 9/11 now is morphed into it's morphed into terrorism now, a war on terror. And now we have a police state where you have Homeland Security and all of these law enforcement is all together. Now, you said, what's that got to do with Michael McSpadden? Michael McSpadden is part of a system. His brother Derek Muhammad said today at the press conference, there's individual racism and then there's systemic racism. Okay? There's an individual racist that's right in his mind. And remember, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told you that in the election of Donald Trump, what has happened is now we've peeled back the onion of civility.
Come on.
It's peeled back now. They feel they have a license to say whatever is on their mind. And you know what? I'm happy because it's going to wake black folk up to understand that they don't believe in political correctness no more. You can't name, shame, and blame them into feeling guilty about what their ancestors did to you or what they're doing to you right now. They don't give a skip. So at a certain point in time, we've got to realize now that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad never lied to us. And he told us we need to get up and do something for ourselves or suffer the consequences. And he said if we can't get we can't get freedom, justice, and equality within the social, political, and economic order of America, how long are we going to wait until we separate and do something for ourselves?
Let me say this. Because right now, Dr. Abdul Haleem Muhammad is here on K-Rino Radio. Don't be scared, man. Y'all call in. And chop it up. He dropping bombs. 713-526-8737. Now, here's the thing, because you just hit on something that's very important. Now, a lot of people will say, well, man, y'all talking all this stuff about separating and separate. How is that going to play out? How is that going to work? I ain't going nowhere. I got a good job. I haven't had any problems. I haven't suffered any racism. How do we make those types of people who have their mindset, black people, understand that no matter what your position is or what status you happen to hold in this country at this particular time, you still viewed as the same nigga as those who may be lower than you, and staying in this system is gonna eventually be more to your detriment than to our benefit. So separation is that solution. The people who are established, we established in America, we ain't gonna separate.
Well, I'll say two words: Barack Obama.
Okay.
You're the man with the 44th president of the United States elected to 2 terms. Brother, he had the nuclear codes. He was the commander-in-chief.
And was still up.
And he's still up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look how they treat him. They're trying to erase him from history.
Yes, sir.
Everything he did, which in many cases were even Republican, conservative principles. See, the individual mandate was not a part of a democratic or progressive health care program. It actually single payer is. The individual mandate came from the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative think tank. He put that in the bill, and they still hated it. See, these people got elected, these Tea Party people get elected, right, in 2010, right? We got to hold them accountable. Get those people out of our health care. We've got to hold the budget. We've got to hold the budget. What did they do? They get Donald Trump in, And now they what? Did a $1.5 trillion tax cut. They blew a hole in the budget. Then turn around and pass his budget. And his budget blows another $1 trillion hole in it with defense spending and domestic spending to get it through.
Wow.
And raise the debt ceiling at the same time.
Wow.
Well, what happened to the fiscal hawks? The fiscal hawks have flown the coop.
Right.
Now that Mr. Trump's in office,
Right.
they don't mind printing the printing press running overtime now.
Right.
So look at what is happening with the lack of civility, the partisanship. Minister Farrakhan said that partisanship is the death of America. So now that they can't even come together on things like infrastructure.
Right.
We got trains crashing.
Right.
Huh? They used to be able to agree, let's build a dam, let's build a road, let's fix our railroads, let's fix our ports. They can't even agree on that anymore. So when you see people that can't even agree like that anymore, then what are you doing?
The house is divided from the inside, basically.
So they hate themselves.
Right.
So we're at the point now, beloved, where in the scripture, Moses and Aaron were opposed by the very children of Israel that they were sent by God to free.
Right.
And because of their constantly messing over Moses and Aaron or complaining and murmuring, God sent some fiery serpents to kill the people. Well, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us this is going to be angry white folks.
Right.
They're angry, brother.
Right.
And see, what's happening is that their anger is being directed towards us. It's these immigrants. It's these black people. It's these welfare people. They laying up on, they're the cause of the decline of America. No. They de-industrialized their own country, brother. They first moved the factories from the inner cities in the north to the suburbs. Then from the suburbs, they moved them to the south because of the lax environmental and labor laws. And then they moved them out of the country.
Right.
Okay? They took and they created tax havens. Huh? And they created these tax havens, so now they take their capital out the country. So your labor has left the country, your capital left the country, and we're here now. Walmart was the largest corporation in America, but Walmart was all it was a distribution center for Chinese-made goods. So we have now service jobs. You have no blue-collar path to the middle class anymore.
Right.
You used to be able in Houston, Texas, have a GED or high school diploma. Go work for used tools. Put in some overtime. You could come home. You could come home at least in Sunnyside, South Park, South Acres. You could have a nice little house, a motorcycle, pickup truck. You can barbecue, on Saturday and Sunday. Wash your truck. Listen to the game. Play a little them other stations on there and whatnot. You could even send your child to college.
Right.
You can't even do that now, man.
Yeah.
Where's that path now?
Right.
So the only path we got is the corner.
Right.
All right? So when I say all of these things, people say, oh, but they're going to force us to unite,
That's
brother.
right.
They're going to force us to unite because when it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. And as Mr. Mueller gets closer and closer and closer to Mr. Trump and his family, and Mr. Trump begins acting more and more erratic because now people who were loyal to him that got him all the way up to the presidency are falling away now.
Yeah.
He's isolated in that White House, man, and that man may not be stable.
Right.
Hear what I'm saying, right?
No,
he may not be stable. So now as his family begins to be pulled away from him and all of that, hey, and there are people out there that it doesn't matter. Have you noticed that his approval rating has never fallen below 30?
Wow.
So there are 30% of the people that believe everything that man says and everything he stands for, even though it's been proven that he's straight up lying.
Right.
So now you got people like that, and them people got God and their guns.
Right.
And they will shoot at the gun. What was it? During Barack Obama's time, they got their guns and sold more guns because they thought the government was coming to put them in FEMA camps because they're the black president and take their guns.
Right.
So they got stockpiles of weapons, survival bunkers and whatnot, right?
Doomsday preppers.
The doomsday preppers. But listen to what I'm saying, brother. But they're doing it. But now those kind of people are going to be fighting their own government, brother. We need to get the heck out the way and get up out of here. See, look at the weather, man.
Right.
I know we're smoking and drinking and eating and sexing our way to try to forget Harvey ever happened, but Harvey's the new normal. Now on the East Coast, they're having this nor'easter, this cyclonic bomb that's hitting there with 70 and 80 mile an hour winds plus snow. And we're like, what's going on? Right. What's going on is the judgment of America. God don't fight fair. He's not going, it's not one bomb is going to drop on America from Russia or China or North Korea. God is going to bring America to his knees through the forces of nature because God fights like that.
And it's interesting that you said that because you got a lot of people, I mean it's not all of their fault, but we just misinformed. We watch the news and you see North Korea and you see and they get scared. And man, them people, they gonna do this and they gonna do that. And not really in tuned to scripture to really know that that's not how America is gonna meet its demise. It's gonna come through God's judgment, as the messenger said. God is preserving America for himself. But so to relay everything you said to just the average dude in the hood, you know, how does that trickle all the way down to him, and how can he understand how to involve himself in this particular fight when the political terminologies may go over his head, but he still needs to know how this affects me?
It's like this. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan on November 16th, 2017 at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. He gave a press conference. Right. And he said, this press conference, he said that this message is not from me, but it's from Elijah Muhammad, right, through me, through Louis Farrakhan. Then he went on to say, this is a final call, final warning to America, President Trump, and it's a final call to black people to change our thinking and change the way we act, lest we face the chastisement of God until we do his will. So to the average dude, what I'm going to say to you is like this, man. God loved you so much, he came himself.
Come on.
So if you reject God and you kill your brother, you killing what God came to save. Now what does that earn you? There's something you're going to earn that's worse than any drive-by shooting, worse than being locked up in a cell, worse than anything in the world. So what we need to understand is this. They weaponized the weed on every corner.
We're going to get into that.
And every corner, there is a convenience store owned by others than ourselves, and what's in there isn't even food. Okay? We got guns in the community. Negroes don't even make toothpicks. So how do we get in these Bear Rugers and Glock 9s and street sweepers and Uzis? How do we get these kind of weapons when we don't even make matchsticks, brother?
And more importantly, why are we being allowed to get them? Okay. Also, with that's the main thing, because I would say it's pretty easy to get a gun, get any kind of weapon like that, but the question is always, why are they letting us get those kind of weapons? Because what's the bigger picture and the plan that they have for us to do? And it goes back to what you said, that's to really assist them in wiping each other out, wiping ourselves
Justifiable out. Homicide, right, is he had a gun. See, now you got these weapons in the community that justifies them coming in the community. When you look at now after post 9/11, the police department ain't the police department. It used to be a cop that maybe ate too many donuts. You know, he might have had a gun, a $38, and maybe a nightstick. Right. That's the old look of the cop, right, donut eating cop. Now today, man, these cats got like Batman utility belts,
yeah,
right?
Man.
They got tasers, huh? They got mace, they got handcuffs, they got batons, right? Bulletproof vests, right? But then when they call out the SWAT, the special forces, brother, these cats coming through the community, man, in vehicles that travel 80, 90 miles an hour, man, they're fully armored. Right? They got all kind of weapons, man, because they're not going to be outgunned. Right. And after 9/11, Homeland Security, what it was they literally bribed state and local governments through grants. So they would give them actually surplus military. So in all of these major cities, and even the small ones, you saw in Ferguson.
Yes, sir. Ferguson.
Michael Brown, when that thing broke out, damn, what they got snipers on roofs
on
and
deck already.
All that.
Where y'all
how
from?
this little police force got that kind of firepower and those kind of, well, that's all over the country.
Right.
And then you've got groups like the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith that's going into police forces teaching about black anti-Semitism. When have black people ever been anti-Semitic? How can you be anti-Semitic? That's like being anti yourself.
That's right. They don't know who the real Semites really are. They make that claim, number one.
So they're doing that. So they're poisoning now the police force. So they come in, and then our own behavior in their own mind justifies them that they're Tarzan and we're the native that he has to come and civilize. And he comes and he swings on a tree and saves Jane, you know, and maybe he thinks we're Cheetah or something. You know what I'm saying? So we got to understand how people view us. See, our problem is that we don't believe in wiping the whole people out. That's not even our nature. That's right. But if you study history, Adolf Hitler systematically, and this was them against themselves, he systematically sought out white Jews to murder them and absolutely wipe them from the face of the planet. Now, you can't imagine somebody doing that, but they do. And they already know, brother, the demographers show them that their population is having zero population growth. That means that there's just as many people are dying as being born. And their birth rate is going down, down, down. And they see darker people, black people, having babies, and our population is getting younger and stronger. So what are they doing? They say, well, if we believe in one man, one vote, then eventually, one man, one vote, we're going to be able to outvote them, and we'll control the levers of government. So what do? I make sure you get a felony and you can't vote. All right? What do? I don't educate you so that you're ignorant and you don't even want to be involved in the political process because, man, they ain't doing nothing for me. Well, they doing something for somebody. They pouring billions of dollars in the political process. Obviously, people are getting something out of it, right? So that you have no skills. Now here we are in this modern age that's about technology now. It's about technology today because the tech companies are dominating the Fortune 500. They're dominating the stock exchange like the old smokestack industries used to, GM and others are. Okay? They're the ones that are making up the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. So if we don't know, we know how to work technology, but we don't know how it works. You get what I'm saying? We don't know how. So
we can use the phone, but we don't know.
Right.
Say how
and then sometimes we busy playing Candy Crush while other people moving stocks, doing payroll, checking their inventory. Right. And we doing Candy Crush, or we looking at World Star hip hop videos of women fighting, pulling their weaves out and whatnot, and we tripping. Right. So I know I'm going around the world, man.
Brother, you own it.
At 1,037 30 miles per hour, brother. But you know, we only have an hour together on this day. But I'm trying to impress upon the brother not how smart I am, but how valuable they are, our brothers and sisters are in the eyes of God. And we got to change. We have to change, and we're going to be forced to change. And if you got 2 generations of women who have 4 or 5 children, and they're getting $2,000 in food stamps plus a check and all that, and then all of a sudden that's cut off, now what? Right. And you have now a whole culture that you will put your child on disability or on special ed or on these meds because you get an extra check. And if somebody say, you know something, your baby's in special ed, but he's making all A's, he don't belong in special ed. You'll have a woman cuss a daggone teacher that said, B, you messing with my money.
Yeah, you playing with that paper.
You playing with my paper. So what has happened to us? Yeah. And if a nation can rise no higher than this woman, and we've been taken out, and through social engineering, the black man now has been kicked to the curb and the side, and we got our women raising our children without a male influence, a proper male influence, brother, then what are we producing but our own destruction? So there comes a time where we got to recognize the fact that and apologize and atone for integration. Nothing wrong with desegregation, but for us to abandon the institutions in our own community that we had. Yes, we were forced to have them, but we had them. We should have built on them.
Well, sometimes when you get forced to do stuff, and once you start doing, you realize it's not. Hey, this what I should have been doing anyway. You know, you kind of get that feeling. Real quick, because you was mentioning some things about we was talking about government assistance and the dependency that a lot of us have, because there's a lot of dudes that's living like that, believe it or not, not just the women. And I'm thinking about Hurricane Harvey and how when those storms hit, it really makes you understand how limited we are in terms of how close we are to having nothing, being in poverty. We like maybe 2 or 3 days worth of food in the refrigerator. A catalyst behind was setting up the mosque as a distribution center where people could come and get food, supplies, clothes, hygiene, and all those types of things. But the thing I wanted to really commend you on, and there was many others that did it. You know, we could talk about Mattress Mac and a lot of our great rapper brothers, Trey and Zero and Slim. A lot of those guys did great things. But what I give credit to you for, brother, and of course all praise is due to Allah, but not just the effort itself, but the sustained effort. Not to just do it in September, right in the aftermath of the storm, but September, October, November, December, all the way up until today. So I would, I guess, ask you to speak to future preparational tactics that we should be thinking about, because we live in a hurricane region and we know that Harvey probably ain't the last one. So are we not going to learn from not being prepared, from Ike, from Harvey, whoever? What can we do, or what should we be doing when summer's rolling back around?
Well, as I said before, brother, well, I haven't said before, but I'll use this zinger here. We live in the USA, United States of Amnesia.
Yeah.
We live to forget. Now look, brother, in May of 2015, right? We had the Memorial Day flood.
Right.
It wasn't even hurricane season.
Right, yes, sir.
Then in April of 2016, we had the tax day flood. April is not hurricane season, right?
Right.
Okay, so then Harvey comes. We got 2 warnings before that our infrastructure and all that we had was not adequate.
In the city of Houston, right.
In the city of Houston.
Right.
Then Harvey came. And now we see really how vulnerable and fragile we are. All right. Preparation. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan teaches us, brother. Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that love anticipates need. Because I know my people are going to need, I love them, so I'm going to keep a sustained effort going to prepare them for the next calamity. So here's what we're advocating. So every Thursday, Shape Community Center, 3815 Live Oak, is the Justice or Else Local Organizing Committee, and we have there our 10,000 fearless first responders, okay, our CERT team, Community Emergency Response Team, where we're training and teaching our people how to do the things that need to be done to help our people rescue themselves. It's also disaster preparedness, to teach you, if you have to shelter in place, meaning that you have to stay in your home, to how to have enough food already there to last you for weeks if necessary.
Right.
Having alternative energy sources, having alternative transportation sources, having alternative communication sources, so that you're able to survive. Water, to have water, etc. and so forth. And if you had to evacuate your house, to have a backpack and have at least enough sense to put some underwear and whatnot in those big gallon Ziploc bags, so that if you had to go through chest-high water, you still would have some dry underwear and dry clothes if you got to the Jar Jar Brown where you evacuated to.
Right.
To where to have your medicine and your important papers and all of that stuff, so you don't lose everything.
Right.
There's ways to prepare, brother.
Right.
And then we've got to set up a communication system, and we got to look out for our neighbors, because when the 911 system is inundated, they can't come rescue you.
That's right.
Hell, they need to get rescued.
Right.
So we have to look out for one another, man. See, we got to put neighbor back in neighborhood.
Come on now.
All right? We got to put commune back in community. All right? These are the things we got to do, man. We're going to be forced to do it, brother. So we got to put down the guns, man. We got to stop the killing. So South Park, South Acres, Sunnyside, South Lawn, bottom of the Third Ward, if you listen to me, stop the killing, man. Stop it. Because there's a law called the law of third parties. If you got a beef with your brother, when you look up, the world of Yakub was built on divide and conquer. Who is benefiting from you killing one another? Step back for a minute. Right. It's not you. Right. It's not the bottoms of Third Ward. It's not South Lawn. It's not South Sunnyside, South Park, or South Acres. Right. Who is benefiting from you and what you're doing? There's a third party.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that too, brother, because you've been so active going out to these schools, and the Nation of Islam has always had no issues going into the neighborhoods, going into these very neighborhoods, and as the minister say, getting in between the gangs and the guns. That's why I asked the question earlier, because I wanted to know how to take this message and break it down to the streets. Because I mean, I think that's the biggest disconnect that we have, is that a lot of people who are maybe ministers, teachers, politicians, they have not been able to connect with that youngster that's in the street. But I've yet to see anybody be as successful at doing that as the Nation of Islam. So we definitely commend that, and we're gonna be right here on the front lines. Which we got a caller. We're going to get this call in and go ahead, caller. Who am I speaking with? How you doing, brother? You got a question or comment for Brother Abdul Haleem Muhammad?
I'm doing fine, Brother Overseer. Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave him 6 words. These 6 words summarize the teaching. Accept your own and be yourself. We're other than self. That's not who we are. Pants sagging is not who we are. Banging and pimping and slinging, that's not who we are. We're other than self. Now, using terminology other than self is just a kind way. There's only one reality that really is God. The opposite of God is Satan. So if we are the people of God and we're acting other than self, then whose camp are we in? See, we're being used. See, Satan is wise. Satan is a devil maker. Right. Not that we're that by nature, but circumstance has made us to do his own bidding. The Klan don't even have to lynch us anymore. We're killing each other.
That's right.
See? And all of this anger and self-hatred is put in us where I don't even see you as my brother, as my other. And we beat our women. And beating our women, we don't even see our women as, when we slap a woman, that's like slapping God. See? So if you would slap God or really be beating yourself, it's like beating yourself up, you would look and stop and say, man, that's crazy. Yeah. So
you're beating on the very thing that brought you into existence.
Brought you into existence, yes, and the fact that that's your doorway, your portal, our window to eternity. Yes, okay, because nobody's ever come back and told you about the pie in the sky after you die. Ain't nobody ever came back.
I never met nobody.
And never met nobody that came back and told you about that. So if there is something on that other side, you don't know nothing about it. Right. But the people that teach you that, they're living in luxury. Right. So as the Honorable Louis Farrakhan sung the song, white man's heaven is a black man's hell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, too, man, I mean, if anybody that's listening to this, you know, you may have children. You might got a youngster. You might got a little hard head that's out there that you can't control. Bring him to the mosque. 4443 Old Spanish Trail. Bring him to the mosque, and I guarantee you it's some brothers in there that can get him right, and I mean get him right the right way mentally. So that's what our goal is. We trying to save our youngsters out here, save our people out here, because we have to be that reflection. But we gonna keep it going with Big Brother. I got so much I wanted to talk to him about. Of course, he is. We ain't got much time left, but he is the catalyst behind an organization that we have now called the ARC, and that's Artist Respect and Community, and that's where he got all the rappers together. And he did this way back in 1999, where we had some of the top artists in the city of Houston to come together at the mosque, and he was trying to give us the game way back then. He was trying to teach us to buy up the neighborhoods, because if you are a youngster out here claiming this turf and claiming that turf, but you don't own it, then we really look foolish doing that. So a lot of our brothers and sisters who have become successful in the music game, he urged us to get out there and buy up this land, and we still own that. That's still something we should be focused on. And it's a lot of great artists like Slim Thug that have really took that initiative and is buying up a lot of property. So I mean, we want to thank Big Brother for being the initiator of the ARC, because it's given me another purpose and another direction in my music career. Because just as we spoke about Muhammad Ali, man, if all you do is just that particular craft, then that's all you'll ever be. Ali wasn't the greatest because he was the best boxer. He was the greatest because of the stance that he took and the fights that he fought from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, Big Brother, you got anything you wanna impart on us in these last few minutes? Y'all can also, you got time to get a call in at 713-526-8737. But I'm gonna let Big Brother close it out, because that's why I got him here. I didn't bring him here for me to talk. I brought him here to be taught. So.
Well, brother, again, I go back to, the ARC is all rooted in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan saying that one of y'all's rap songs, you and Ronnie, Murder One, as he calls himself, Ronnie.
Yeah, you said it right the first time.
Yeah. Ronnie, Murder One, and K-Rino, Brother Eric,
yes, sir.
Black Cat, all y'all, man, here it is. He said one of your rap songs will go further and reach more of our people than all his speeches put together. All the millions of words that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke on behalf of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he said that one of your songs is going to reach more of our people than him. Yeah. So that really means, and what he's pointed out to, is that the culture, arts and culture, is going to be at the root of our revolution. So if we would be able to influence what it is that you're trying to do, then what happens is you're the ones that the young people are listening to all over the world. When I travel to China, when I travel to Africa, they're playing hip-hop music. Right. So if you are influencing the world, if God will influence you, then God will be able to influence the next generation that have come up. This Joshua generation is called that because they're the ones to take us into the promised land. You're the best generation we've ever produced. But you're wild because you were born in the wilderness. You know not Pharaoh. So someone has to teach you what your foreparents went through, what is the law of God, so that you can go into the promised land and inherit the promised land, because you are not afraid of the giants. Right. So come on, brothers and sisters, clean up, straighten up, stand up, pool your resources, stop killing and murdering one another, stop making babies and don't take care of them. You understand? Sister, you're too valuable to be opening your knees to someone that is not worthy to have you. So we gotta get back to some old-fashioned ethics and morals and righteousness, because it's only our righteousness that's going to sustain us in this day and time.
You know what else too, Big Brother? When you was talking about the minister saying one of his speeches, one of our rap songs will reach more people than any of his speeches, it's like it came full circle with me, because a lot of his speeches are in the rap songs now. So it's like we speaking a lot of stuff in our music that we've heard him say, that we've heard Honorable Elijah Muhammad say, and I've heard you say. So it's kind of meshing together. But real quick, because I do not want to forget this, the minister just dropped a project, right? Let's talk about the minister's
oh man, thank you, brother. I probably get whipped. There's people watching me on Periscope right now. He's got a song that was an album, 44 tracks.
Wow. I heard it was 7 albums like me.
It's seven CDs. Yes, it's 7 CDs and a bonus DVD.
Wow.
And a 100-page full color book. Wow. On this album, I mean, it is a range of music, right? It's classical, gospel, rap, calypso, reggae.
And people don't know the minister plays violinist. He's a highly skilled violinist. Go ahead, big brother.
You got to hear it on one of the songs. You have Rick Ross, Snoop, Common. Then the title song is called "Let's Change the World." Is actually because Snoop did a song called "Let's Change the World," and the minister made that the title track.
Wow.
You got on Damon Marley, who is the son of Bob Marley, is on one cut. You got Rasul Muhammad, he's got a Spanish language song on there. I mean, you got Denise Williams singing a gospel song. You got Chaka Khan. You got Stevie Wonder.
Is the album available?
Yeah, it's available. It's available. It's like on a website, but I don't want to give you the website right now because it's still under construction.
Okay.
But I promise I'll feed it to you so you can feed it to the group. But I played some of the songs on my radio show, Connect the Dots, right here on KPFT.
Right, no doubt.
On Wednesday, I played some of those songs on there, and so I'm just saying, brother, that. We'll be feeding off this for quite a long time. Yeah. And then the minister got one song called "I Will Fight You," and I mean, brother. I mean, it's off the chain. I mean, all of it. It's all kind of genres. It's a little something for everybody. Okay, and so I'm blessed, brother, to have walked with that man. I've known him for over 41 years, but to walk with him and to be his student and his companion in rebuilding the work of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I'm simply honored, brother, that faith walk with him has led me to meet brothers like you and Ronnie and others and all of y'all, man. Y'all mean so much to me, brother. Brad Jordan, Scarface. I mean, y'all mean the world to me. So I pray Allah will continue to bless you in this show and keep doing what you're doing. And K-Rino, we're going to have another Artist Respecting Community meeting.
Yes,
and then we got to get busy, man, because right now we're doing drive-bys in the 3rd Ward.
Right.
And we got to stop the killing, man.
Yeah, we got to get a hold of ourselves, man, and not be scared to talk to our young people, man, and try to save them, because sometimes we going on a course that we don't realize we're going on. I want to thank my big brother Dr. Abdul Haleem Muhammad, because he did not disappoint. He fed us, so we fat full. I feel like I just left Damasi, man. So I'm good to go. And give them your social media information before we go if they want to.
Yeah, I'm Dots Connector on Twitter, and I'm A Haleem Muhammad on Instagram.
All right, well, you know, brother, thank you again. You more than welcome. You can come up here anytime, man, and bum rush the show. Anytime, you always welcome. So, once again, man, K-Rino Radio, we did it like we normally do it. Every Friday from 9 to 10, y'all make sure y'all tune in. Follow me at The Real K-Rino on Twitter, man. Shout out to my homie Murder One. My homie Kermit is in the building filming tonight. And, of course, the infamous Black Cat. It's in the building, man. So thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see y'all. We will talk to y'all next week. God bless. Thank you, big brother.
Already.
Peace.